Hello all, Jamie Rodgers here for Craftmania, and today I'm introducing you to a brand new die of the week. Now this is truly one of my favourite background dies designed by Sue Wilson. I love this one and I have a feeling you're going to fall in love with it too. But before I introduce you to it, let's talk a little bit about where you're going to find it, because I know the second you see it you're going to be off trying to find it. So let's tell you where to go. Pop onto our website, www.craftmaniacrafts.com, and you will find on the menu a little tab that says Die of the Week. Give that a click and it will take you through to a page where it shows you all of our previous dies of the week and our current ones, of course, including today's. Click on the little picture that you'd like to know more about and it will take you through to a page. On that page, not only will you see the die of the week that you're looking for, you will also see all of the ribbons, gems, pearls, dies, stamps, everything that I've used on the cards I'm going to be sharing with you all in one place. Now those cards, we're going to be introducing you to them shortly and you're going to see them in video format. But I know an awful lot of you like to go and save the pictures so you've got a reference for inspiration once your die has arrived, instead of having to watch me rattle on through a video. And because of this, we share them every day at 2 p.m. on what has up till now been my Jamie Rodgers Crafts Facebook page. This week, everything is changing. We're having a bit of a tidy, we're having a little bit of a move around, and we are moving all of the Die of the Week cards over to our Craftmania page. So if you haven't already followed us, make sure you do. It's Craftmania and you'll find us on Facebook. Just give that a search, it'll pop up. Our little logo's got Craftmania wrote in blue. There's a little red plane above it with a banner that tells you that you can order internationally. And at the bottom is a load of balls of wool and some knit needles and bits, just trying to show you all of the bits we stock here at Craftmania. If you see that logo, you're in the right place. There's a few of us on there, but that's the one you want to go for. If you head on through 2 o'clock, every day throughout this week, you are going to see one of these cards pop up so you can save those images if you would like to. And equally, if you'd like a closer look or you'd like to ask questions, that's another great place to do it. You can, of course, ask questions on this video too in the comments and I will do my very best to answer them for you. So then, we've told you where to get it. We've told you where you're going to find your inspiration for it. I can't leave this any longer. Let's introduce you to the die of the week. This week we are looking at the very fantastic herringbone die by Sue Wilson. Now we will look at this in more detail shortly, but just briefly, this is a great die because it doesn't have an outside edge attached to it. That means it's going to stay in your cardstock. You can then trim it out with a guillotine, you can put a nesting die around it if you want to, or the bit I love of this, you can move it and multi-cut it. And we talk about this quite often, and we often do this in our sort of die of the week. So we talk about tile cutting and moving. All that basically means is you're going to take your die, you're going to cut it the first time, and then you're going to move it along and cut it again. Now I only move that fractionally because with this one you can literally move it along one section of the pattern and cut it again, and do that as many times as you want. Now the only limitation there is the size of your machine. And we often mention this and we tend to think, oh, A4 machine, A4 card, that's my limit. It isn't. It's A4 in width. Length can be whatever you wish for it to be. So if you want to get like A1 card and trim that down to A4 width and cut this going all the way down that strip forever and a day, you can do. And I mention this because we often talk about home decor, we talk about scrapbooking, we talk about card making, we talk about all the different ways in which we can use our products. But sometimes I think we forget that actually, in that sense, we could be making poster boards for schools, fates, decorations, bunting for birthday parties, Christmas decorations. You know, there's a whole host of things that this die could come in handy for when you think about it actually being humongous. And we can do that by just multi-cutting and moving it along. Whether we do that portrait or landscape, it's up to you and where you're going to want to be taking this design once you've completed your cutting. So your actual die of the week. Now this is a huge saving for you this week. This one should be $17.99. But you're actually going to save more than you're spending. So this die is reduced to just $7.99. Now this is a huge die. This is 11.6 by 14.8 centimeters. So that's a big die for only $7.99. Don't forget that means you're saving £10. So that's a huge saving to be had. So let's delve on in and have a little look at what you could be creating with this, because I know it's all about the inspiration. That's the bit you want to see. So here I've actually got the die out of the pack as well as the one in the pack, so you can see just how large this one is. As I mentioned, there's no blade around the edges, so it's going to stay in your cardstock. And as I meant, that's got so many options we can do with this. I've gone ahead and I've cut just a couple of these. I'm going to bring in a piece of blue card just so you can see what I mean. This is the first cut on its own, just cut out, nice and simple. I'm going to bring in a black die cut of the same version, and we're going to lay that one on the base here, just so you can see what I mean here. Straight away, just by taking the design, which should start off here, and giving that a twist and laying this over the top, we create a completely different pattern. This is one of my favourite parts about this. We can easily do that effect. We can also move it along and recreate a different pattern. We can also leave it where it is and drop it just slightly to create a different style. Again, the right way up, we can move it across, we can make different patterns with it. And you're going to see quite a lot of these different versions coming through in what I'm going to be sharing with you that I've made. Even just by dropping it slightly, so you get that different colour come through on each of the chevrons, really works nicely. And especially when we start playing around with different colour cards and playing around with different effects, it really can become an incredible die to have in your stash, because there are just so many ways you're going to want to place this and bits you're going to want to create with it. As I say, I think my favourite is probably when we twist it and create that lattice effect. But this is the joy of having a universal die. And when we talk about universal, I also mean that in the sense of what we can create with it and the styles which we can achieve. So I'm going to bring this one in. This is the first card I wanted to share with you. So this one is cutting one from white cardstock, one from gold mirror card, and then simply just dropping the pattern down slightly on the white over the top of the gold so that the gold bars appear underneath those white ones. I really like this, and especially in the mirror and the white, I think that's really special. And again, this could be dressed up for a Christmas card, it could be a birthday card, it could be an Easter card, it could be done in any colour, it could quite easily be a masculine card, a teenager card, it could be anything you want it to be. For my one, I've kept it really plain and simple. I've added a little banner in the middle and I've added a few flowers across the bottom. Nice and simply done. The flowers here are the forget-me-not flower die, and I've just used some tweezers to go across the edges and give them that crimpled effect. I purposely kept this low against the bottom of the card so that you'd still got all of this lovely pattern shining through, but you could easily bring these flowers up and make a little arch with them, add in some foliage, maybe a butterfly. There's a lot you could do, but I love this background so much I didn't want to cover it up. Now, another idea for you is leaving this in the cardstock, and I mentioned that this is why I love the idea when Sue doesn't add in them edge blades to them. And this means that we can literally take a card blank, we can cut this die into the front of it and turn that into the front of our card. And we can have this literally from a store-bought card, we can create this beautiful frontage. I've chose to use one of my circle sayings with the scalloped edge and the with love in the middle, and I've foam padded that onto the front of it. On the inside I've added another one just to cover up the foam tape and to hide the back side of that last die cut, and then in the middle I've matched its position for where I could then add my sort of message or greeting, or maybe even a larger or different sentiment or message or verse into the inside. But it's a really simple, easy card to do, but hopefully quite elegant, quite simplistic, but hopefully going to really tick the box for that with love card that we needed. So we've gone from sort of thinking of you through to with love. Let's go for a more masculine birthday card. And this again could be created in so many different ways. For this one, what I've done is I've taken my die, I've trimmed this out of black cardstock. I've then stuck it down onto a piece of black cardstock, and I've brought in some gold gilded touch and gone over the top of it. Because that had ended up a little bit too gold, I wanted to sort of diffuse that slightly. So I've used my quick dry pigment ink pad in Panther Black, and I've just rubbed that over the top, and it's just brought that gold down a notch or two. For the car, I've cut two cars at the same time from black card. Now you've probably picked this tip up before from me or others, but basically when we cut two pieces of card at once, where the windows should fall out, they will fall out of the top cut, but they won't fall out of the back cut. Basically the die will cut the outside, but it won't cut the intricate parts in the middle because we're asking it to do too much. And that's a really great little hack for when we wish to place pieces back into dies and we don't actually want to have to paper piece them, because the back cut will stay solid, the front cut will stay open. So what I've done then is I've taken the top cut and I've stuck it to the back cut so that the windows are in place. I've then used the same gilded touch from in the background and gone over the top to highlight the texture embossed on the die cut when the actual mini has gone through the machine. Now this is just one of Sue's different cars. We carry all of them at Craftmania, along with the matching stamps as well. So you might have preferred to have stamped and die cut and coloured in, brought a bit more shading and colouring into this project, but I actually really like the black and the gold on the black and the gold sort of tyre tracks in the background, because that's what gave me the inspiration. I felt that this die cut used in this way looked a lot like tyre tracks, which I thought was a really nice idea. I've added a little tag on here and then just stamped a little message using that panther black ink again, and added a sheer ribbon through the just tip here, just so it matches in with the gold that's running throughout the project. Then we move on to some Christmas cards. Now, I am very much in the mood for Christmas, and I can't make Christmas cards at the moment without bringing in Rodney. Rodney is my lovely little snowman stamp, and he's just come back in stock at Craftmania, so he had to be the focal for this card. And this one's a really simple one. I've just cut this die into white cardstock, and again, one of those bonuses about not having a blade line attached to it means that we can choose how wide we want the frame to be. So I've put this into my guillotine, and I've chosen to have about 3/4 of an inch edge or frame running all the way around this. That gave me enough room to add Rodney on and give him some placement area without it being too heavy behind him. Because Rodney's got quite a lot of pattern going on with his hat and his scarf, I didn't want him to be lost or lose the herringbone effect behind him. So it just gave me more edge to place him down. For Rodney, I've stamped him using that Panther Black Quick Dry Pigment ink. I've coloured him in with a mixture of alcohol markers and the Oakwood glitter brush pens. I love them. They're something I keep playing with at the moment. I've just treated myself to a new black one. You're going to see that on a card in a moment. But this one was using the teal, I believe, to add in some additions to the scarf and the hat. And you just see this lovely like mica shimmer. That's so pretty. I also used this slightly lighter blue that you might be able to see running over a couple of the segments as well. I've then added on some fluffy stuff around Rodney for the snow. I didn't want too much, I just wanted a little bit on these branches and a little bit at his feet, nothing too heavy. I've added on the Let It Snow stamp that comes with Rodney, and I've stamped that and put it onto one of our little banners. And then to finish off, I've put on one of our ribbons with our Lurex edge, which I really like using. I've then used 3 shades of blue Elite card to match in with the shades that you're seeing running through our Rodney scarf and hat, just to try and tone it all together. Now, I mentioned that I've been using my brand new black glitter brush pen from Oakwood. Here is where it comes into action. I have been colouring in Santa's belt and boots today using just that pen, and I love this because although it's black, you've got that sort of silver shimmer of the glitter or that sort of mica shimmer that sits on top. I've also coloured Santa in with alcohol markers, and again I've added some fluffy stuff to make up the sort of fluffy bits of his suit. In the background, you're of course going to see our herringbone die. That's what this is all about, the love of the herringbone die. So this time I've cut it in white, I've then cut one in gold, and I've just dropped it down so the gold is shining through from underneath. Now, I can't remember the name. I was meant to look this up before I come in, but I will put it on the same page so you can see it. This is one of my dies that comes with a scalloped rectangle die with it. It's just an edge that goes with a pattern die that's in the centre. By luck, I found that this herringbone fits perfectly into that outer scalloped edge. So if you don't wish to trim it down with a flat edge on a guillotine or a trimmer, then this is a really nice way to add a fancy edge around it. And that's all I've done, is just use this die with that one to create this effect. I've then bought the colours of Elite carding in the background from the Heritage Green, the Romantic Red and the Polar White, and laid all of that onto the same matching gold mirror card as what I've used for the herringbone element, just to tie it all together. Sticking with Christmas and moving on to our, what are we on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th card, our penultimate card. This time I have cut 1 layer using Romantic Red from our Elite cardstock and 1 layer from gold mirror card, and I've done what I showed you earlier. I've just taken them and I've twisted them and brought them together so that the gold is coming down underneath that red one, giving us those little peaks of gold coming through. Very simple, very easy, but actually very effective. I've placed this on top of a panel of our Decadent Ivory Elite cardstock. I've die cut my banner from the same, and I've stamped the Happy Christmas using the Squirrel Red Quick Dry Pigment ink pad. Oh, I've got gem. I always find this when I'm here. I get mid-filming and I think I'm a bit rough with them. I'll have to put that back later. But the pearl's on the move. I've used some pearls into the middle of my flower. This, of course, is our classic poinsettia die set. And I've also used some glitter gems and placed them in place of the berries on the holly from the festive foliage set, just to complete that card. Again, really simple, really easy. And maybe you'd prefer to add on a stamped element. Maybe you'd prefer to bring in Father Christmas or Rodney or one of the other stamps that we stock at Craftmania and build up that area instead. But I really like this. I thought the flowers were lovely. Now, you may be getting tired of Christmas. I know some of us have got a little bit overloaded already. So here's another idea that's non-Christmas. This time I've brought in one of our inked, I can never remember the name of these, foiled inkables. This is our gold circular frames, and I've gone on about this before, but I love these because you can ink over them and the foil resists the ink depending on the ink you're using. So you end up with these beautiful foiled colours coming through from the inks that you've worked with. They're also cut quite large. I've chosen to trim this one down, so I've got quite a thin edge to it. I've then used a circle die and cut out the centre of it, so I could then take my herringbone die, cut that from white and place it underneath. And I've done that trick again of doubling it in both directions and just stuck it together in white so it looks more like a lattice. I've then added on my butterfly. Now again, you know we spoke about the car and I told you how I'd cut two at once. I've done the same trick for my butterfly. Cutting the top one out of the pink card, the back one out of the white card. And this is what I mean. You can possibly see it better with a butterfly. That back one will stay in place. It'll engrave, but it won't cut through. So now I've got the perfect backing to go behind my butterfly. Very easy, very simple, but very elegant. And I actually quite like the way that that engraves and you've got that pattern shining through. I've then added on some of John Next Door's lovely stitched flowers, a few of our sun pearls, little ribbon down the edge, and then matched in those colours of cardstock running through in the background. All very, very easy to do, but hopefully relatively effective. And as I mentioned, could be just about any colourway for any occasion that you could possibly have coming up that you need to be crafting for. And I feel with these 7 versions of cards I've created, you can see just how many times you're going to be reaching for this die, because it is truly the essential background that goes with everything. Well, I hope that gave you a few ideas on what you might like to be creating with this die. I have a feeling this one's going to be very popular. I know when we've brought you background dies on previous Die of the Week offers, they have flown out the door, because I think with this one, like I was saying, you can see you're going to use this so many times. It doesn't matter what occasion you're crafting for. It doesn't even really matter what type of craft you're doing in the paper craft world. You know, we could be running this as a border across scrapbook pages. It could be, like I mentioned earlier, for Christmas decorations or poster boards or so many different things. So I have a feeling a lot of you are going to jump on board with this one and you're going to want to get hold of this one quite quickly. As I mentioned, it is only $7.99. It should be, its true recommended retail price is $17.99. So you are saving more than you're spending. You're saving that £10. And of course, once again, if you do live within the UK and you order this, because it's over £5, it's going to be free P&P. So it'll be delivered to your door for $7.99. If you do live around the world, that's not a problem. You can buy this too. We ship everything that we sell all around the world, and your P&P is capped at just £10. If you'd like to know more about how that works, pop onto the website and have a little look under the customer service tab. You'll see there how our UK and how our international shipping works. Don't forget the website address is www.craftmaniacrafts.com, and if you'd like to, you can order on there. You can of course order by phone as well, and that's 01493 843 666. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you've got a favourite, let me know in the comments which one was your favourite. I think, if I'm honest, my one's probably the Rodney card. I love the snowman and I love working with them blue shades. But let me know. I always like to know what you're thinking. Let me know in the comments which one's your favourite. And if you get creative with this, don't forget to share it with us on our group as well. We would love to see what you're creating. So pop on over to our Facebook group, which is Create with Craftmania and Jamie Rodgers, and share with us what you're making once this has arrived in the post. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget, if you want to see those cards, 2 PM every day on the Craftmania Facebook page. Just before I forget, I'd nearly forgot, I'm sure you had too, but don't forget, Facebook, Craftmania, that's where they'll be, 2 PM every day this week. Thanks a lot for watching. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Bye for now.